Right, well, we've got Macclesfield Festival coming up on the 22nd of this month. One of the acts that I'm really, really looking forward to watching, certainly one of my favourite acts growing up, right from when I got that Stepping Stone record, is The Farm. Peter from The Farm, welcome.
Welcome, yeah.
First things first, and the interesting thing that I want to know is kind of what The Farm been doing sort of for the last 20 years or so since we last kind of got a few releases.
Yeah, well, everyone's been doing various things, you know. I mean, Roy Bolter, the drummer, and Carl are pretty successful filmmakers. Roy actually became a scriptwriter with Brookside in the 90s, and then went on to Hollyoaks and various other things, and ended up writing with Jimmy McGovern on some of his features, you know, when he does certain features. Carl made a film called Grow Your Own, which was a brilliant film, British film, which is about people on allotments, and it was really good because it was like a comedy almost, you know. But Steve also released many. He's the guitarist and songwriter with me. He's been releasing a lot of dance records under pseudonyms, you know, so he's done quite well as well. Keith works in Lipper, which is Paul McCartney's school in Liverpool. And I've been doing bits and bobs, writing, doing a couple of books and various sort of things, you know. So, yeah, we've all been fairly busy, but we've been doing festivals for the last, say, 10 years, I think it is. You know, we're not active as a working band going out on tour as such, but we just like to do festivals, you know.
What was it like for you back in the very early 90s, late 80s, when it was all starting to happen for you?
Well, it was a bit of a whirlwind, really, you know, because we couldn't get a record deal in the 80s. I mean, we had lots of John Peel sessions, and we had lots of help from various people in the music business, especially people like Suggs from Madness and Peter Hooton from the House Martins, and, you know, everyone was always trying to get us involved in a record company, but for various reasons it never happened. And then we just decided, well, if we're going to release records, we better do it ourselves, you know. So we did it ourselves, and we started off in 1990 with Stepping Stone, and then we were just hoping to be like an active indie band, really. But within that year, you know, it was like a tidal wave, you know. We just couldn't, you know, we didn't have much, we didn't have much control over it, really. You know, every Stepping Stone became a massive, you know, dance hit. We only released it on 12-inch, you know, and that was a 12-inch vinyl, you know, and we didn't do other formats, you know. Otherwise, it probably would have been a big hit, you know. But we wanted to keep it real, which is a mistake, really, in hindsight. But, you know, because then Groovy Train came out, and that was a big hit, and then All Together Now come out, and that was a massive hit. And then our manager said, we best re-release Stepping Stone, because that'll be a massive hit, but the group disagreed with it. And that's when you start getting groups trying to make decisions, that's where it all goes wrong, you know.
So, and of course, you sort of had... You worked tweets about by Terry Farley and the Junior Boys Own lot. I mean, that you know, around that era, I suppose, as well, you sort of had the Junior Boys Own lot. You had the sort of the football casual lot that were sort of going with the London acid house scene. I mean, you know, that kind of made you sound a bit like a Manchester band. Does it ever annoy you when you get sort of in the category of Manchester?
Not really. It doesn't annoy me, you know, but it doesn't annoy me. But I just think a lot of it was lazy journalism at the time. I mean, if the truth be known, we were like trying to emulate the likes of Big Audio Dynamite, which was a definite London sound, you know. But you know, when we first went to see Big Audio, it was probably about 86, 87, and like, it just blew me away, the fact that they were using samplers and using technology, and I thought it was fantastic. So that's what we were trying to emulate. It just didn't, at the time, the equipment was so expensive. You know, it was hard to get involved in that, because if you'd buy a computer, it costs thousands and thousands of pounds. You know, it's not like it is now. Back in the old days. But so you had to get someone. We had a brass section, you see. So we said to the trumpet player, learn how to use a computer, and you're still in the band, everything, you know. And so that's what we did. And but you know, the very fact that the Happy Mondays were coming along at the same time, You know, I mean, that all added to it really, and we were like very wary of getting involved and being pigeonholed, because when we'd get music journalists coming up to Liverpool, we'd try and talk about social issues and politics, but they didn't really. They only wanted to know about, had we ever been the Hacienda, which we had been, of course, but we were taking them to Robert Stressel's grave in Walton, in the shadow of Walton Prison as well. You know, the fellow who wrote Ragged Trousered Philanthropist. You know, but really, not many jailers. They didn't really. They wanted to know how many. What about the ecstasy scene in Liverpool, or you know? So it was very hard then, you know, to talk about issues, because we've been brought up, you know, on the Clash and the Specials and groups like that, and you know, they were the groups, and the Jam, and they were the groups. You know, social commentary. That's what we wanted to be involved in, you know.
Are you ever likely to get back in the studio and get some new material down, or is that kind of it pretty much for your own projects?
We went in the studio recently, and we produced 3 tracks, and we put them out on Pledge, and they've gone down a storm, really, you know, and it's called the Feel the Love EP. And there's 3 tracks on that. I'm working on new stuff, yeah, so we are going to hopefully get an album. I don't know when, like, but you know, it's the problem is getting everyone to the studio at the same time, because, you know, as I say, Roy and Carl are busy doing films all the time, you know, so we've got to give them advance notice of when we're playing festivals. So getting into the studio is a little bit more difficult. But me, Steve, and Keith, who write the songs, we're writing all the time now, you know, so we're, you know, there will be new stuff, you know, and it seems to have gone down very well, you know.
Macclesfield Festival's coming up on the 22nd of July. I know, you know, in terms of your live show, you know, is it a balance of new and old? Yeah,
it's a balance of new and old, and also stuff that we did with Mick Jones as well, with the on the Justice Tonight tour that we did 5 years ago, which was raising awareness for Hillsborough at the time. You know, so we, you know, it's an eclectic mix, really. You know, and it's, you know, we played with Madness recently at Prenton Park. And we've done a few other gigs, and it's going down great, you know. So I mean, we love playing live. You know, it's your bread and butter, really, in terms of, you know, getting, you know, excited, looking forward to a festival. You know, it's like if anyone's into football or whatever, looking forward to a football match. That's what it's like. It has the same feeling, you know. It has the same, you know, adrenaline rush, you know. And I think we all miss that, you know, when we stopped playing live for about 10 years, you know.
Of all the tracks that you perform live, which is your favourite? And sub-question, which is your studio favourite?
Probably performing live. I love doing Lucy No Colour.
Yeah.
You know, because the sentiment of the song, but also I think it was one of those songs that was banned by Gallup, because we were like big champions of vinyl, because everyone kept on telling us in the record companies that vinyl was out. It was never going to, you know, within a few years it'll evaporate, you know, it'll be melted into our distant memory. But we were always trying to champion vinyl. So when we released Love See No Colour, we give a free remix 12-inch with it, and we didn't know, but we were contravening Gallup rules, you know. So it never actually, you know, only got into the 40s, never really made the charts, you know, because we were banned, so it was only our CD sales that were ever taken into account, you know. But I personally love doing that song, you know. Studio favourites is probably one of the new ones in terms of enjoying putting something on, you know, is we did this song called Feel the Love, and that's what the EPs that you can still get on our website. That's available, you know. And it was really about an encounter we had with a DJ called DJ Harvey back in Ibiza back in the day.
Yeah.
And after we played the Coup Club, you know, we'd done a short set at the Coup. And about 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, just as the sun was rising, you know, we met Harvey, who I always remember he had a miner's helmet on with the light on at the front, you know, and we knew this is a character, and he said, "You're the farm man, you come with me to this mountain." We go, "What mountain?" He said, just come with me to the mountain," and it was like biblical. And some of the lyrics are regarding that, you know, but he said, "Come with me to the mountain, you'll feel the love." And it always stuck in my mind, him saying that, you know, because and the very fact that the farm are doing that, are associated with, like, you know, the terraces, you know, I think it works because it's us doing it, you know.
Yeah. He's definitely a character, Harvey. I mean, you know, he turns up with his real surreal tape machines and obscure disco edits, and
he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. But you know, I think you know, all during that period, you know, we were doing all together. Now it was about unity, and that's what we were about, and that's what we're still about, really. You know, and that's why, you know, we've done concerts for different causes throughout the years. You know.
Peter, thank you very much for your time, mate, and I'm looking forward to seeing the farm. I'm going to be on stage with you, actually, because I'm a support DJ, so
brilliant.
I won't be leading you to any mountains, like. Bye.
See you now, bye.